Hey guys, and welcome. Last time we talked about motivation and discipline, and to my mind the point of motivation and discipline is to follow through. Now you have a force inside you that is almost always there that will keep you from doing exactly this. This is the most insidious enemy, and we seldom get to recognize it. There's this author, Steven Pressfield, that talks about it in his book The War of Art, and I just love that book. It really opened my eyes because it talks about the hidden enemy that is within each of ourselves that will stop us dead in our tracks and keep us from taking any further action. And the result is you have goals, you have wishes for yourself that require action on your part, and you will fail to take that consistent action that would get you the results you want. Now there's a reason for you wanting those things. You're not mad for wanting what you want. Okay, so you have to actually do the action in order for you to get those results that will make you grow, not just please you. Now that force that Steven Pressfield talks about is resistance. Whatever it is, it may be fear, it may be depression, it may be anxiety, it may be whatever it is. It may be anger, it may be frustration. All of those are varieties of the same thing. All of those are varieties of resistance. So resistance is a factor that is inside you, that is like a voice in your head that doesn't want you to go about your actions that you set up for yourself. It will say to you things like, oh, you can't do it, oh, you don't have the necessary resources, you're not good enough, you're not old enough, you don't have the time, that's too difficult, that's too dangerous, and all of the negative things you could say to yourself that would prevent you from taking action. In fact, what this tries to do is make you not expend very much energy and stop you from being hurt. So there still is a positive motivation behind all of this. But sometimes this is so excessive that instead of judging correctly your ability to follow through, you judge it very incorrectly and you sell yourself way too short. Because in fact, even though you may not have all the resources now, I mean, sure, you may not have all the information you require now, but it's not about the circumstances and the resources, it's about the resourcefulness. That is, even though I may not have the resources right now, I know the way to dig deep and I know the way to acquire those resources from my environment, so as at the finish line, I will have the resources necessary to sustain my action and deliver the results. Okay, so in dealing with resistance, I basically found out three. Okay, there may be more, but I basically found out three ways in which you can deal with it. The first and most common way we deal with resistance is, okay, there is this resistance, say it's this hand, and I'm going to push against it, and I'm going to push harder than the resistance can put up, you know, and you go like, you inch forward, and before you know it, you're at the finish line. But this is hard work, and this is mainly the reason why we don't want to do work in the first place, because we perceive it as being hard. We perceive it as pushing against a brick wall that, even though it moves so slowly and it moves with such a big effort on our part that it's not even worth it. Now, another thing you could do that may sound a little bit better is go into a state of flow or just ignore resistance altogether. Of course, the resistance has this way of popping up in your face and not being easily ignored. It's like an itch that won't come off in the best case, you know, so you still devote some attention to it, but maybe not as much as to feel that you're constantly pushing and pushing and pushing. And I found out that resistance may not be all that bad. As in, fear may not be all that bad. It's not the resistance that is bad, it's our overestimating the resistance that is stopping us from taking action. For example, Should you be afraid to jump from a 10-story building with no net and nothing soft on which you could land on the bottom? Well, yes, you should be afraid, because you're most likely gonna die. So this is not overestimating, but let's say you are afraid to go to the convenience store and buy something because you are too afraid that you will meet somebody on the street who's gonna beat you up. That may be true, but probably if you're letting that enlarge too much, you're overestimating it, and nobody will be there trying to beat you up. So you may be way better off assessing the situation and saying, well, okay, probably nobody's gonna be there, so I can go because I'm pretty safe. Okay, so it's in overestimating the resistance that it gains power over us, and it actually stops us dead in our tracks, and we don't get to finish the job, while resistance itself just finished her job. It stopped us. You can acknowledge that, and when resistance shows up, and trust me, it will, you can just take 20-30 minutes, give it time, and look at it, genuinely look at it, and say, okay, you are here. What is the message you are trying to deliver to me? Because most likely it will be a positive message. For example, it may say to you, hey, this area of your life needs more attention. It doesn't need a lot of attention. It doesn't need your full attention for the entire day, but it needs your full attention now. Okay? So when you devote attention to it, you will be free and you will heal all that resistance, and instead of fighting against it, you will now gain the benefit of working more efficiently. You can, for example, set up a course correction. You may have this uneasy feeling that you're doing something wrong when typewriting, and let's say you're forgetting to use diacritics. That's letter specific to your own language that are not as usually typed, and when you acknowledge that, you will make your time a whole lot easier, because you will have a lot less spell checking to do at the end of your work. Now, in order to combat this resistance, you must be fully engaged and fully confident in your ability, because resistance feeds on your thoughts of inability. You say, I'm not going to be able to, I don't have the resources, so on, and you feel weak. If you are to heal this resistance, you must in the first place be with your shield against it. That's not being cautious, that's just believing, yes, you can. And even though you may not have the resources, as I told you, you have the resourcefulness. You will find a way, because that's what you set out to do. Okay, and when you're fully engaged, when you fully believe in yourself, it's not a maybe I will find a way, I wish I would find a way. It's not a maybe, it just is. I will find a way. Why? Because I'm a resourceful person, because I'm smart enough to find a way. I don't know the way right now, I don't know where those resources lie, I don't, it's a truth, but I don't need to know. Because in the first case, you say, I don't know where the resources are, but I need to know. No, you don't need to know. You will find a way, but only if you look for it. And if you're fully engaged, if you're fully confident, you realize that you made this situation. You are living in the residual past of the situation you created. Okay? So this present is just a manifestation of what you thought. You can have new thoughts, and if you have new thoughts, you can set out and pick and paint another picture for you of your future, and you can go from where you are right now to where you're gonna be. And in that lies your power. You do have the resourcefulness to be able to do that. So I'll see you next time, and paint a picture of what you want your future to look like, and be confident that you can accomplish it, because you can. I know you can. Do you?